Label your notes box and whisker plot, and this is section 3-5. Box and whisker plot shows the median and the range of a data set. So if you remember, median is the middle number when we list everything from least to greatest, and range is going to be your highest number minus your lowest number. So your range is going to be shown here, lowest number to highest number, and your median is marked right here, that middle line. You can use a box and whisker plot to compare how data are grouped in two sets. So if we wanted to compare Angela to Carl, we can do that with box and whisker plots. Okay, this is your basics, all right? The dot on the left is your lowest value. Your vertical line here is the lower quartile. The middle vertical line is the median. The next vertical line is the upper quartile, and your dot farthest to the right is your greatest value. Here's your definitions of each of those. Write those down. Okay, so let's put this into play here. We're going to use the time test data, first round versus second round. All right, so round one is this one, okay? And if you remember, we went 0, all right, so for example, we got 70, 21, 24, 15. So all I'm doing is writing down our data. I'm choosing to put it into a stem and leaf plot, and I'll show you why in a minute. But basically, you remember how to do this, right? This would be 17, this is 91, etc., etc. Okay? All right, I've already got this set up on the next page. All right, so this is our data. Okay, as I entered it, just reading the data off of the sheets, okay? So now what we're going to do, though, is to make that into a box and whisker plot. First thing we have to do is put them in order, all right? So all I have to do is take my 0, well, there's only that for the 6s, but then I'm going to go like 1, 1, 1, 1, 5, 5, 7, 8. And I'm going to go 1, 1, and put them in order from least to greatest. So it's a little easier to put them in least to greatest when there's this much data if you first organize it into a stem and leaf plot. Now, you don't have to. I choose to. I think it's faster. Okay, or you could just put the whole thing in order least to greatest. All right, so I've already done that here for us. So I have everything in order least to greatest. I gave myself a key. 5 vertical line 4 means 54 correct in round 1. All right, we need all of those things that you just wrote down on the previous page. We have the lower extreme, the lower quartile, the median, the upper quartile, the upper extreme. It's also helpful to know the range and the outliers. Okay, so range is probably the easiest, right? We're going to take the highest number minus the lowest number. So 100 minus 6 gets me 94. Do we think there's any outliers? Well, this is 5 away from the next number, and this is 2 away from the next number. So I'm going to say none on that one. All right, let's go with the lower extreme and the upper extreme. Lower extreme was 6. Upper extreme is 100. Median. Okay, so now they're in order least to greatest. We can just cross off and find the middle number. All right, it looks like it's right there between 34 and 35. So it'd be 34.5 would be our median. Okay, now our upper and lower quartiles, if you remember from the definitions you wrote down, basically it's just finding the median again, but just for this half of the data. And then the upper quartile is just for this half of the data. So I'm going to cross off again. Now because there were 2 middle numbers, I'm going to use this one when I cross off. So my highest numbers are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6. Let's go 1, 2, 3, 6. 6. Okay, it looks like it's right there between 24 and 24, so it's 24. And our upper quartile, right there between 54 and 54. Well, that was easy. Okay, so there's our data. Now we're gonna go back to the previous page and we're gonna graph this. All right, our lower extreme is at 6. So right here at about 6 was our lower extreme. Our upper extreme was 100. Our median was 34.5. 34.5. So we're going to mark that with a vertical line. And then our upper and lower quartiles were 24 and 54. So 24 and 54. About right there. And then we're going to connect those together. That's the box of the box and whisker. And the whisker is just going to connect out to your lowest and highest values. Okay, so right now that doesn't mean much to you. I'm going to tell you this is round 1. But what I can tell you, all right, is that what this does for us is it breaks our data into percents. So this is the lowest 25%. This is the highest 25%. All right, this is the middle. So that means 25% of you scored between the lower extreme and the lower quartile. Now notice how this is closer. Okay, that just means that your data was bunched a little closer together. So if you look back at your box and whisker, that's confirmed. We have a lot of data right here. Whereas down here, it's a little more spread out, which is why your right whisker is so long. Okay, because your data was a little more spread out. So 25% is here, and it's also here. It's just here it's bunched up, and here it's spread out. Okay, so now what we'll do, I'm going to erase that because I need to have room for the round 2 data. All right, so let's go over here for round 2. All right, so again, I would take my data 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I would go through, I got 48, I've got 26, 27, I've got 23, 33, 67, 21, you get the idea? 67, 21, 72, etc., etc. Okay? And again, I already did this for us. So here's our data. All right, and again, we need it in order least to greatest. So over here, I've done that for us. So here's our data in order least to greatest. I gave myself a key. 7 vertical line 2 means 72 correct in round 2. Okay, so again, we need our list. Lower extreme, lower quartile, blah, median, upper quartile, upper extreme, range, outlier. Okay, our lower extreme, so our smallest score this time was a 7. Our biggest score was 100. And if I subtract those two, that's my range. And my outlier, let's see, this is 2 away, and this is 2 away, so none. Okay? Let's see, so we need the median. So let's again cross off till we get the middle number. Oh, good. All right, so in this one, we had one middle number, okay? So that must mean we have an odd set of data this time. So 44 is our median, all right? And then for our lower and upper quartile, now because there was only one middle number, I'm not going to use it when I do the crossing off. So when I do my lower quartile, I'm going to ignore that and just go 1, all right, so it's between 25 and 26, so it's 25.5. And it's between 62 and 62. Okay, so let's go back again so we can graph this. Now, The reason I had you do the range and the outliers is the outlier I'll show you on the next screen, but can be marked on a box and whisker plot. The range, here it was 93, and back here it was 94. That just helps us to decide what we're gonna count by. Like if your range was 10, you'd probably just count by ones. But because our range was almost 100, that's why I set it up and I counted by tens. Okay, so that's why we do the range. So our lowest number for round 2, all right, so lower extreme of 7 and 100, and then 744. So 7, 100, and our median was 44. Okay, and then our upper and lower quartiles were 25.5 and 62. 25.5, about right there, and 62. Okay. All right, so what that does for us, this is now round 2. Now we can compare the two. Well, you can see that the lower extreme was a little bit more on round 2 than it was on round 1. Our upper extremes were the same, but if you look, see how that middle part is kind of a little bit farther over to the right? That means as a group, your scores were just a little bit better, okay? You can see where our upper quartiles are. If we compare those, this one's a little higher than that one, okay? The breaking out actually is a little more even, whereas here we had quite a bit that was spread out, and here it was quite bunched up. Here it's a little more evened out for your 25%. Okay, so remember, each part is 25%. And the last one is 25%. Okay, so like I mentioned, I'd show you the outlier. All right, this is kind of a weird little graph, but I thought it was kind of cool. You can see the outliers out here. It's beyond your upper extreme. That's how we mark it. And what you would do is you'd have your upper extreme, okay, like here, was 100. So if that was an outlier, we'd mark it with a star, and then we'd go to the next highest number, and that's where we would put our, well, dot. I guess they made it a vertical line. But here you can kind of see what they did is they put a dot for each piece of data. So you can see how bunched up it is right here and a little more spread out here. Okay, here's another one. I just want to show you how you could also make it vertical. So you got your minimum and your maximum, you got your median, your upper and lower quartiles, and it's broken into your percents. It's your bottom 25%, your top 25%. And this one, if we just wanted to read one and answer the questions, it says, what's the median waiting time? Well, the median is this line. Okay, so it's around maybe 11 to 12, maybe 11 minutes. Okay, what's the least amount of waiting time? Well, that's right here. So that looks like at about 2 minutes. What percent of the data is between 6 and 14 minutes? Well, 6 is here and 14 is here. So what percent of your data is here? Well, that's 2 of our section. So 25% plus 25% is 50% of the time. And is there an outlier? Yep, right there. And it would be about 20. Okay, and I believe this is the last one. It's just another view of, you got the lowest value, the highest value, the median, upper and lower quartiles. Also, this is another vocab word in here. This is the interquartile range. And basically it's that middle 50%. So it's from your lower quartile to your upper quartile versus the regular range, okay, goes all the way from your lowest value to your highest value.